This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome to The Secret to Everything. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition. I am Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and I am so delighted that you are here. And today we have such a special guest. Some of you may be a little familiar with her, not just through your wanderings, but actually through The Secret to Everything, because we've had her on before. She was so popular, and we had so many requests that we brought her back for another show, and partially because I told a tiny fib. I talked too much, and I told you we were going to talk about a different topic and her second book. But first, I'll tell you who this mystery guest is. It is Miss or Ms. Cynthia M. Ruiz, and I'll probably make her say her name again because she does the most beautiful R roll that just gives me chills. But let me tell you a little bit about Cynthia. Cynthia is an author of not one, but two amazing, rich, deep, powerful, inspiring books. The first, actually, that we talked quite a bit about on the other show, and you can look it up in the archives, but her first book is Cherokee Wisdom. And she comes from that heritage, from a mixed heritage, but that's one of the places that she pulls from. And her subtitle is 12 Lessons to Become a Powerful Leader. Wow, we sure need that message in the world today, don't we? And then her second book is Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World. And I think we'd all realize that the world is crazy and that we would like much, much better balanced relationships. So welcome back to The Secret to Everything, Cynthia.
Well, Dr. K, thank you so much for having me back. It's just a true pleasure and great opportunity.
I want to dig right in because we could go really deep and probably do about 8 more shows talking about relationships. But since we don't have a lot of time before the first break, I'm going to ask you, you wrote your first book. It was a success. You do workshops. You speak a lot about it. You are a leader. You illustrate by being, and you share, kind of your upbringing and a lot in that book. So when you thought about writing a second book, why was this topic so important that it was even in an idea? Or why did you choose this topic to write about?
Well, to be honest with you, Dr. Kim, I was having a conversation with one of my male friends, and he says, wow, you have a great perspective on relationships. And he goes, you should write another book. So I went home, I meditated, went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I had the title and the outline. So I can't take credit for the book. The creator has guided me to write this book. And Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World, let me tell you right off the bat, let me just cut to the chase. The key to finding sane relationships is looking in the mirror. And that's not what most people want to hear.
No, Cynthia, no.
Look in the mirror, because you're the foundation for all relationships in your life. Remember, the common denominator all relationships in your life is you. So if you're happy and healthy, you're going to have better relationships. I guarantee it.
Cynthia, where were you 25 years ago? That one statement, you guys have seriously got to rewind that. You have to download this show and you need to rewind that statement because that is so true, so brilliant, and literally took me 20 years to arrive at that same thing that you just summed up in one
I know, of course,
sentence.
Because what happens, people spend too much time trying to change the other person, try to blame the other person, or not taking responsibility for your own individual happiness. You're responsible for your happiness. And how do you really become happy? Well, it's really about clearing all that baggage. What happens is that through life we have experiences, good and bad, and the bad experiences create this emotional baggage. And it shows up in a lot of different ways: anger, resentment, fear, insecurity. And all those stuff gets in our way from being happy. And it actually affects the relationships that we have, because it could be a fear of being alone, fear of commitment. There's all this fear that we carry around. It gets in our way of our happiness, and it gets in the way of our relationships. So stop trying to control everybody else around you, try to control their behavior. Look in the mirror. Again, work on yourself, and you will have better relationships. Simple, right?
If only. No, I'm just teasing. No, and it really is. If you guys can get that down to a deep, deep cellular level, like through your bones, like it is simple. One of the things that I tell my girls and I tell my clients is stop running. You take you with you. The next relationship isn't going to be different unless something changes, which is what we're going to really dive deep in as we go into the next segment. And I also want to say, you mentioned a couple things that I'm just going to kind of categorize in a big way, which you kind of mentioned beliefs, you mentioned programming, you mentioned fear, and you mentioned emotions. So on the other side of the break, we're going to dive into finding sane relationships in a crazy world right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, Old Florida cuisine at its best.
If you're a seeker, don't miss the inspiring book Shamanic Awakening, Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Cochran's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers throughout the Americas. Sandy's initiations across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt, combined with her knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth, influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private readings, sacred international journeys, a meditative CD, and her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate your earth walk and create a deeper connection to yourself. Find this and more at her website, starwalkervisions.com.
You are listening to The Secret to Everything, and we are here with an amazing, powerful, current leader of the new age, Cynthia M. Ruiz, and she is the author of Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World, which we're going to talk a lot about this hour. But in a past show, you might want to look it up if you enjoy this. We talked a lot about Cherokee Wisdom, her first book, 12 Lessons to Become a Powerful Leader. And we can sure use a heck of a lot more of those in this crazy world. Like I combined both your books in one title that time. I want to speak to you just really quickly because I did mention in the show we did a while ago that I ran an aura on you, and I found it so interesting. I just want you to know that the energy, and you probably do now, of healer came up so strong in your aura. Are you aware that you are really at a core, one of your, I call it soul level? I think you're a healer. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree. And actually, I believe that I get that from my Native American Cherokee ancestors. So when we talk about healing, I think I'm more not necessarily physical healer, but emotional healer. And that's kind of been my path in my entire life. That's why I went and got a master's degree in counseling. And I have to say, I'm a PhD dropout. I got accepted to a PhD program in psychology, but at that time in my life, I was married, I had a young son, I had a business, and realized there was only 24 hours in a day, and we make choices in life, and at that point, I chose my family. I have no regrets because now I feel like I have a PhD in life. What do you think, Dr. Kim? Dr.
I totally agree. It's kind of an inside joke, you guys, which I'm sure you'll be in on eventually because we tell you everything. But, I love that because there is also the energy in your aura of connecting with nature, being really connected with nature, being really connected with God, very spiritual person, and really great communicator. And this is what I just want to illustrate with you for a second, if I can. This is the example, you guys, of what I talk about over and over in these shows and over in my classes of someone, whether deliberately, and I feel it was deliberate on your part, and inadvertently, and God-guided in your case. I think you are just living your authentic being, that you are placed here for a purpose at this time in history. And thankfully, at whatever age, it kind of clicked in, and you're bringing all parts of yourself into what you're doing today. Can you do you feel that you're kind of using your gifts and your talents and who you are naturally to kind of bring your message and healing to the world?
Yes. And I feel very blessed and very grateful. I feel like at this point in my life, I'm a vehicle that's being used by the Creator to get a positive message out of love and unconditional love and peace and empowerment, really towards the divine feminine in women, because so many women have struggled for so long and they don't have that self-confidence. They don't have that belief in themselves, and they're living in a space of fear. I live in a space of gratitude, love, and happiness, and it feels so good and it feels natural. So thank you for doing my aura. I didn't know that you did this ahead of time, and I know that you actually, on your website, if you sign out, you can get a free one. So I recommend it to everybody because it's so funny. You and I didn't know each other before I was on your show, and so you're actually right on and very correct. So you're very talented, Dr. K.
I knew there was a reason I had you on my show. No, I'm teasing you guys. No, and I always say energy doesn't lie. And I just love that. I love that you are so authentic. And I love that, what I find really sad, and I don't want to talk about me, I want to go right back into the book, but it's disappointing to me. And you see this in counseling and working with women and speaking and the work that you do as well, and the workshops and the one-on-one. I know you do, especially if you're working with young women, you're mentoring young women. I find it really sad, and life is a journey, of course, and it's very individual, but sometimes, I'll just give an example. I just did a one-on-one, and part of it was Azara, and I did a young man a couple days ago, and I don't think he knows. He had one of the most integrated, brilliant, natural, intuitive, like mind-blowing auras I've ever seen, and I do thousands of these, and I thought, I wonder if he knows, and I kind of tapped into him, and I merged with him, and I'm like, he doesn't know. He's struggling, and he's, my old friend called it, sitting on a gold mine. And you're not really a woman of regrets, and that's one thing I like about you, but isn't there a piece of you, because there's a piece of me that wishes when you were 7, you knew all, because I saw the power in your aura, and I kind of saw everything in your aura, but don't you wish you saw that in you at 7 or 9 or 12 or 14 or whatever age? Would you have, do you think we would still be the women we are today? Or do you think I don't think you have to choose, and I'm interested to get your perspective on this. Do you think we have to choose suffering as the path to success is the question I'm asking.
So the answer is no. But I think I have no regrets. I have been through a lot in my life. A lot. But I honestly believe that every experience that I had in my life made me the person I am today and have made me a strong, independent woman. Because I don't call it suffering. It was not pleasant to go through, but I have no regrets. And I think that if I had the knowledge I have today when I was 7, I think it would have been it's too much knowledge for a 7-year-old to carry around.
Good point.
So I think the beauty about life is that we go through different stages. I am not the same person I am today that I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And I'm okay with that because I feel like I am becoming more comfortable, more confident. And it's interesting because when I came out of a divorce, I had no self-esteem because I was physically and verbally abused. So when I got divorced, I had no confidence whatsoever. He just wore me down. So it took a while for me to be able to get my confidence back and really work on myself and shed all that emotional baggage and then develop the spiritual practice to really be able to stand in my truth and my power and stand in my authentic self. So everything that I've gone through got me where I'm at today, so I am grateful.
It was so beautifully said. Thank you for saying it like that. And I think that probably really was balm to a lot of people that are listening, a lot of women and men. And I do want to say, just a caveat, by no means did I feel in any way by reading your books that they were necessarily slanted, and this is good, you guys, toward women. I definitely the leadership book and even this book, this is definitely, even though we kind of are talking a lot about women, particularly in this show, definitely powerful books for men. As a matter of fact, I think every man and every woman, every person on the planet should read your leadership book and your relationship book. But I love your, and like I said, there's a previous show if you guys want to know what the heck I'm talking about, her book, Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons to Become a Powerful Leader. Love that book.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because if you look at the reviews on Amazon, men like the books. And I'll tell you why men like the books, because they're an easy read. It's simple, to the point. Both of them are less, like around 100 pages, so it doesn't take you forever. And especially with finding sane relationships in a crazy world, it's almost like a workbook. So you can get through the book probably in 2 sittings, but if you really want to dig deep and do the work, it's going to take you a little bit longer. But they're easy reads, and so guys, it really resonates with the men.
I noticed that too about your writing. You're kind of a down-to-earth, practical, no-nonsense girl, which appeals to kind of everyone, right?
I'm a Capricorn. I'm just like, what you see is what you get.
I love that. I'm going to ask you, and you don't have to answer, of course. I'm going to ask you kind of a personal question, if it's not too painful, about your marriage. How long, you mentioned, not me, you guys, she mentioned physical abuse. I think you mentioned emotional abuse as well, which kind of goes hand in hand. I'm not sure that you can just have physical abuse without emotional abuse. But how long from the beginning of that, if you don't mind answering, did it take you to find whatever you would call finding the courage, the strength, the money, the guidance to leave or to get yourself out of that situation?
Girl, I was in that relationship for 13 years. 13 years. So even I'm strong today, but it was something that I was embarrassed about. I was carrying around guilt and shame. It was kind of like a dirty little secret. And it wasn't until the physical abuse happened in front of my son. My son was 7 at the time. And I saw the look of horror in his face, and the light bulb went on. I said, if I stay in this relationship, my son is going to grow up thinking this is normal. And it's not normal. But I realized I was carrying on the cycle from my parents, because my parents were physically abusive to each other. So I was trapped in this, not even realizing it. So once I left, got out of that relationship, and like I said, it was for my son, and now he's an amazing individual. So I broke the cycle for him, not even for myself. So when women are in situations where they're either physically or verbally abused, I know it's tough. It's a struggle to get out, because a lot of the whole thing is, in my opinion, the physical, what's abuse? It's about control. The other person's trying to control you. And on the surface, the guy was well-educated. Everybody thought he was very nice. And it took me a long time to actually leave. So it's not easy. I know it's not easy. But once I got to the other side, I realized, like, if anybody's abusive to you, man or woman, once is enough. Once it happens, you just need to walk away. But I kept thinking, it's not going to happen again. And my self-esteem was so low by the time I got out of that, it was bad. So it's been a journey. But again, the good news out of that, I have this amazing son, and I have my life back, and I'm happy and healthy today.
I know you can't see me, but I actually have tears in my eyes, because your stories and mine, and you don't know this, are so closely paralleled. It's ridiculous. It took me 10 years to live a violent, abusive, emotional situation. Just to hear another woman affirm that, and to know where you are today, and to know who you are today, and to know where I am today and who I am today, people wouldn't necessarily believe it. How can you're so talented, you're so smart. I mean, look at you, you've written these books, and you have a graduate degree, and on. And they're like, how can smart women? I love what you said. And I want you guys to listen. I'm going to say it again, because it was so powerful. And I hope this saves one woman, one child, one man, one teenager, one human or animal from further abuse that we endured way longer than we should have by our own, processing and choice. Once is enough. Tell someone. Get help. You know what I found out 10 years later when I was ready to leave, and I'm sure you discovered as well, there are organizations of all religions, of non-religions in most communities, right, Cynthia, that are there to help. If you don't have the family structure or the friend structure, which I actually did, so I really had no excuse, but there's so many resources, and I think there's even more now. Would you agree?
Yes, but let me ask you an important question, Dr. K. During that time, did you keep it a secret, or did you tell somebody else?
And guess what? We are coming up on a break, so I am actually going to, you guys have got to listen to Secret to Everything for a little bit longer, because I will answer, I'm going to have Cynthia repeat her question on the other side of the break, and I will answer that question, and we will continue this very important discussion right here on The Secret to Everything. We are talking to Cynthia M, Ruiz, and Dr. Kimberly.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the four corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
You are listening to The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and we are talking about finding sane relationships. Is that even possible? I added that, by the way. In a Crazy World, that is a book written by the beautiful, amazing, talented, and intelligent Cynthia M. And she is here with us. She has graciously agreed to come back on The Secret to Everything, and we are in the middle of kind of a heated discussion, in a good way, about all sorts of things. Right now, we're kind of on the negative side of relationships. We'll flip that around in a little bit. But right before the break, Cynthia, you asked me a question. And just in case people are joining us now, would you repeat that question? And then I'm going to answer you.
So we were talking about how we were both in physically abusive marriages. So my question to you was, did you let people know what was going on in that abusive relationship, or did you keep it a secret?
And I'm going to tell you, I came, and I know you don't know this, and some people do, but a lot of people in the audience don't know this, but my dad was actually, at the time that I was married, and still is, a pastor. And I am the stereotypical, I admit it, pastor's daughter, you can imagine. But all that being said, I was raised, programmed, let's say, that once married, always married. And that no matter what, you hear that, no matter what, you stay married and you put on that face. And we were really involved with the church at the time, and nothing against the church. This is all me, you guys. This is all my program and my beliefs. I'm not, putting the responsibility on anyone else. I think one of the reasons it took me so long to tell anyone, I didn't even tell my parents, because I was this is just me and my journey. I was so ashamed. Isn't that weird? Why was I so ashamed? I don't even think I've even dug into that, Cynthia. But there was so much shame and failure. Like, my parents had this great marriage. My grandparents had this great marriage. My cousins had these great marriages. Like, my whole family could do it. Why couldn't I figure this out? What was so horrific? And I know this is all wrong and twisted, but really my thought process is, why am I so horrible that I got this loser? Or what am I doing? I was trying to justify being beaten, basically. I spent most of my marriage trying to figure out how to be prettier, how to be sexier, how to be skinnier, how to be smarter, how to cook better, how to do a guard, like how to be the perfect wife. That was basically my whole struggle right there.
And all that time, Dr. K, it wasn't even you. And so one thing that one message, if anybody's listening and they're going through something like this now, men or women, because abuse could happen to men or a woman, you have to love yourself enough to leave, because love should never hurt. Now, of course, in relationships, you're going to have arguments and disagreements. Okay, that's normal. But anytime it becomes physical, that is not normal. So you need to love yourself enough to leave, as hard as it is. But here you have two living examples of, there is life after that relationship. Dr. K, you're amazing. I've gone on to really do amazing work because I did work on myself. And you can be happy and healthy after.
Yeah, I love that. And, when I did finally tell, I think there was just as much shame on the other side, which I told my parents, because then they started pressuring me for divorce. But it's very difficult. You're talking about a mind, F, I'll just use that. These are the people that for, 18, 20 some years programmed me, you never get divorced, that started screaming at the top of their lungs, divorce. I was really caught in the middle of that. I didn't understand that. And it took me a long time to give myself permission to leave. And I was brought up, the best thing you can do for your children, I don't know if you were, or you were ever programmed this way, but, children need two parents. Have you guys ever heard that on the news or in a magazine? Or have you ever... we're kind of programmed that way, right? It took me a long time to realize that is not what my children need. My children need one healthy, stable parent. That's better than two messed up, crazy, dysfunctional, as, our wonderful host who was just speaking to us, Rob said, he was sharing that, he used to be in law enforcement, and he was talking about the psychological trauma on the children. And you even shared that's one thing that motivated you to finally leave, right? Is the damage it was doing to your son.
Right. So I broke the cycle, so I didn't repeat the cycle.
That's good. I like that. Beautiful. Well said. All right, let's get it. Okay, we're going to kind of switch the energy a little bit. And so let's kind of do the other side of the coin for a few minutes. What steps, how could we even begin? Because we're not necessarily healthy people. We're not perfectly balanced. We're not perfectly emotionally together. Maybe we have financial struggles. How can we expect to find a healthy relationship in this crazy world that we live in today?
Well, it goes back to what I was talking about, releasing your emotional baggage. So we carry around anger and resentment. And the thing about anger and resentment, you maybe were mad at your 8th grade teacher that told you weren't good enough and you were never going to make it. Well, guess what? Your 8th grade teacher is not thinking about you right now. So when you are angry and mad at somebody, it hurts you more than the other person. Or fear is a big one. Fear, fear, fear. So fear is a normal emotion if your life is in danger, but most of the fear that we experience is in our head. There's fear of failure, fear of change, fear of being alone, and the list goes on and on and on. But what you realize is that it's all happening in your head. It's really not happening in reality. So you really have to live in the moment and walk through the fear. So the emotional baggage, there's not a lot of ways that you can get rid of it. Some people go to therapy. Some people work a 12-step program. But in the book, what I actually do is have release exercises where I ask you to write down your experience or emotion or thoughts about a person. You write it down, and then what works for me is I burn it. I use a white candle because to me, white candles represent purity. And so I release it and burn it and see it go up in smoke. So I can start releasing that to get rid of it so it no longer has power over me. So again, everybody has emotional baggage. It's about releasing that emotional baggage. You are the foundation, so once you're happy and healthy, you will have better relationships in all aspects of your life because you're happier.
I can't tell you the people that I work with that show up in our technology as having imbalanced emotions. And there's 2 types of emotions. There's the emotions that we're conscious of, and there's what we call latent emotions, or emotions that we're not conscious of, but they're still frequencies because everything's energy. Everything has a frequency stuck in our very tissues of our body, or also sometimes in the 12 layers of our energy field. Over and over and over again, we see this emotional imbalance. So thank you so much for giving the audience a practical, that's just brilliant, something practical. Maybe you don't have the money, as you said, to go to a therapist, or take a class, or maybe you don't have the time to go to a 12-step group. But you can, trudge to your grocery store, and do you like my drama? You can trudge to the grocery store and you can count your pennies. I'm being facetious, you guys. I'm sarcastic. I can't help it. And you can buy your little white candle, and or you know what? Cynthia's not saying you have to. She's just sharing what she does. You can buy a pink candle or a blue candle, or that's not the point. The point is to begin to process. And even words are very powerful. They all have a frequency. They have energy. So as you write anger, and there's different kinds of anger, and try to get them all. So I would suggest you write anger, but if you're bitter, write bitter. If you're frustrated, write frustrated. Those are all components of anger. And maybe meditate, like Cynthia suggests, or journal, and try to get all those smaller breakdown components. I would encourage you to, because they're all different frequencies. And burn that. Some people... Now, of course, you'd have to find biodegradable balloons, because I do care about the planet, and I'm being serious, and I don't want birds to die and seals to die, So we used to do the balloon thing, right, Cynthia? But we don't do that anymore because we're conscious of the planet. But there are other things that you could do. I don't know what, because I'm not that creative on the spot. But certainly, what a great practical exercise. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I would expect there's other things that you share in the book and in the workbook, similar probably suggestions.
Yeah, and so then when I burn it, I say out loud, I release you. You no longer have power over me. Whatever that emotion, thought, person, whatever it is. And sometimes, it's okay to get people out of your life. If there's people in your life that are all full of drama, negativity, it's okay to release them. Now, that's with friends. Now, we can't always choose who our family members are, but you can choose how you participate in that relationship. And then also you can choose to have what I call your heart family, people that you choose in your life. Like for me, I never had any sisters growing up. I had 3 brothers. So now I have a group of women that I call my soul sisters, that they're my support. They're the rock that I go to, and they play the role of a sister, even though biologically we're not related. So you can choose people in your life, but you can also choose to get rid of people and get people out of your life.
I can't believe you just gave us permission to do that. That's another thing I wish I knew like 40 years ago. I thought you had to keep everybody that wandered into your life, and I had a whole ragtag bunch. But that is actually so freeing, some of the things you're sharing, because I don't know where we become so powerless. And we put ourselves really in that prison where, so-and-so called me and all she does is gossip and she's so hateful. Or you guys know the people that bring you down, like you said. And even in your family, you can kind of choose, who you sit by at a family gathering or how much contact you have. I'm not saying avoid them, because sometimes they need to be around us, because we are the ones that, have a higher frequency and are vibrating 528 love, and they need to be around us, but we don't always need to be around them. So there's that, balance there. But I love that you gave us permission, radical concept, you guys, to choose who you share your lives with and who you share your precious, precious time. None of us even know how much time we have. I mean, our number could be up tonight, Cynthia, and I don't want to live in regret. Like, I wish I'd spent more time with amazing people like your group of, sisters that you call them, or my children, or your son, or my aunt, whatever gives us joy. Like, we really do need to be careful of our emotional energy, which goes along with, who we spend our time, and our physical energy. There are people that literally, and we can document this with our technology, literally, Cynthia, drain your life force. Wouldn't you agree?
Dr. Kim, Dr. K, especially because people like you and myself, we are positive energy. So what happens is a lot of the negativity gets attracted to us, and it's our choice if we allow that negativity to attach. So I'm all about energy, and a lot of people come into my house, not a lot of people, very few people come into my house, the selected few, and when they come into my house, they're like, oh my God, I love the energy in here, because I have crystals, and then because I'm Native American, I burn sage to clear the energy, to keep it, flowing in a positive way. So I believe my home is my sanctuary, and I work at keeping that energy positive and keeping that energy in some place that I want to spend my time, and keep out the negativity.
Yeah, I love that. I call my home my sacred space. And it's funny, you burn sage, and I burn sage as well, but I have essential oil diffusers going 24/7. So when you walk in my house, it smells like one of those, vitamin herb, new age shops. People are always like, oh, it smells so good in here. So I'm with you. I am very, very careful. And I think everyone should be. You guys might want to think about, and maybe it's part of your house, maybe it's your whole house, maybe it's your whole property. But, creating a sacred space. There's your next book, Cynthia, Sacred Space. You can write about sacred spaces and how to create a sacred space. You'd be really good at that. But, think about that. Think about some creative ideas. So we're coming up at some...
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back to The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and you guys demanded it, and we delivered her. We are here again with Cynthia M. Ruiz, and she is the author of 2 amazing, wonderful books. Right now we're talking about finding sane relationships in a crazy world, but I actually recommend that you pick up both of her books. The other one is Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons to Become a Powerful Leader. Go over right now. I don't care. You can listen and type Amazon.com. Buy them both. And then let me know what you think. Write a review and get in touch with Cynthia, and she'll tell you how in just a few minutes. Cynthia, is there anything that we've left out about relationships that you would really like to share with women or men or the audience in general that would kind of help them on their next step of the journey if they're in a tough relationship or maybe they're not in a relationship at all? Is there any self-work or direction that you can give them, or, how are we supposed to have good relationships?
Well, one of the things is that I keep going back to you need to work on yourself, because one of the reasons why people find themselves in bad relationships is because they're afraid of being alone. And there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. If you're okay with who you are and yourself, it's okay not to be in a relationship for a period of time. I mean, who doesn't want to be in a relationship, right? But what happens is that people stay in bad relationships because they say, I'd rather be with this person even though I may not even like them because I don't want to be alone. So it's really, the whole theme is it's work on yourself, and when you're happy and healthy, you'll have healthy relationships, and it'll give you the strength to get out of bad relationships. But one thing I wanted to mention, one thing I'm most proud of this particular book, because it is like a workbook, people do the steps that I recommend, and it helps them. I was used to work in City Hall in Los Angeles, and in City Hall they have an organization called Homeboy Industry, which Father Greg Boyle works with gang members, and they have a little cafeteria in City Hall. So I was in the cafeteria paying for my coffee, and behind the counter was a homeboy, ex-gang member, and he kept staring at me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, hello, how are you? And he goes, I recognize you. And I said, you do? He goes, yeah, I recognize you from your book. And I go, oh, wow. And he goes, I want to say thank you. And I kind of looked at him because I'm like, okay, you're welcome. He goes, I want to say your book changed my life. And I'm like, oh, my God. So it kind of was so nice and rewarding because here's somebody that I probably wouldn't ordinarily have, a conversation with. But the fact that here is somebody that was an ex-gang member trying to get his life together. He read my book and it helped him. So it really can help anybody. And what I share is wisdom that I've learned. I'm not saying I've learned everything, but if I can share the knowledge that I've learned and make your listeners' life easier, then that's what I want to do. I'm just trying to help people live their authentic life and by sharing the knowledge that I've gained along the way.
Cynthia, who are you? You help gang members. That's so amazing. How did we get so lucky on The Secret to Everything to have you on our show? I feel like talking about royalty. I think I'm in the presence of royalty. You're amazing. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for what you're doing on this planet. Thank you for showing up and being authentic. Thank you for writing books. Please write more books. Please continue to speak. Please continue to do radio shows. You are a blessing, girl.
So are you. And Dr. K, this is what you manifest. You put it out to the universe that you wanted to have a show and bring like-minded people, so you brought me in. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, let me ask you a tricky question. So I used to be one of those people. Yeah, I know. We're going to get really tricky here. Fancy that. Okay. I used to be one of those people that you were just talking about. I literally thought that every day. Actually, I had this horrific, terrifying, I thought I was going to die fear if I was not dating someone, engaged, married, living with someone. Well, we got over that. So for the past 4 years, I have been deliriously, and I do mean this, happy, ecstatic, joyful, alone. Now, I'm not really alone. I still have children at home, and I have a mess of dogs. So I'm not really alone. But, I'm alone romantically. How do we, I don't necessarily want to be like alone, romantically the rest of my life. How do I'm complete, Cynthia. How do I open myself up? Or is it even necessary? Do you think do we just attract at the right time? And here's the second part of my tricky question. Do you have someone in your life?
So, okay, the first part of it is you need to be clear and manifest the person that you want to bring in. So sit down, and I use the energy of the full moon. My name, Cynthia, means moon goddess. So I use the energy of the full moon to release and manifest. So sit down and write exactly what is that you want in a relationship. For me, I want somebody that's spiritual, loving, kind, compassionate. And so, again, burn it to the full moon, give it to the universe, and the person will be delivered. In God's time, not necessarily your time. So right now, for me, I actually am between relationships. I am finding that it really takes a spiritual, strong man to be able to be comfortable with somebody like myself, because I scare the heck out of guys, and I bring up their insecurities. Not on purpose, because that's not what I'm trying to do, because I feel like I'm very loving and considerate and compromised, but especially guys that are a little bit older, they just kind of not really having it. It's a different generation where, I think there's a lot of hope, especially for the millennials, because the younger guys get it. But I am happy with who I am. I have so many people in my life and so many friends. And so I do have a lot of male friends, a lot of male companions. But when the time is right, the Creator will put the perfect person when I'm ready. And I believe that you need to figure out what it exactly is you want out of a relationship. Is it companionship? Is it sex? Is it love? What is it that's important to you?
That's good. As I begin being more open, I think as my children, start to leave, I am becoming more open to attracting that right relationship into my life. So thank you for that. So we're coming to the end of another amazing hour. The Miss Amazing Cynthia. I know. We can just keep going. We'll have to have you back again later in the year, next year. But tell us, I told them how to buy your books. Amazon.com. Go there right now. I don't care. You can listen and type. Like I said, you can go there right now, order her books, but order both of them. And if you don't need them, give them to someone who does, because there's plenty of people in the world who need these books. But tell us how to connect with you. Can we connect with you socially? What are you doing? Are you speaking anywhere we can come see you?
So I'm in the process of, I do a lot of Facebook Live. So connect with me on social media. Put in Cynthia Ruiz, City of LA. I come up. So I do a lot of Facebook Lives right now. And the next one we're going to be talking about, I have a gentleman that's a motivational speaker. Him and I partner up on this. And we're going to be talking about how to deal with loss. He recently lost his mom. Mm-hmm. I lost my aunt. So we're going to talk about dealing with loss. So connect with me on social media, but always come to my website, Cynthia, Cynthia, MRuiz.com. I have a weekly blog. You can register to be part of my tribe and connect with me. So my website, social media, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, on Facebook, you name it, I'm all over it. And I love to connect with people. And Dr. K, I would love to stay connected with you because you're just so amazing.
You are just, I can see why you're so popular. You are just such an encourager. I just love, you are just the kindest, most positive, most grounded person. You are one amazing example of a woman. Thank you for being who you are. And again, thank you for honoring The Secret to Everything and me by being on our show. Could you share with the audience the names of your two books one more time?
Finding Sane Relationships in a Crazy World and Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons for Becoming a Powerful Leader, both on Amazon.com. And actually, I'm going to be going to Hawaii next month and sit on the beach in Hawaii and work on my third book. And I think I'm going to steal your idea and talk about how to create your sacred space.
No, I want you to. That came in for you. I'm giving that to you. That's your idea. I can't wait to. I'm going to make one request. I get a free copy. That's it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only price.
But we both talk about energy, and for me, Hawaii is a very special place. I love the energy there.
I'd like to go, and I've actually been called there, so I think that's going to be on one of my lists too. So thank you so much for sharing. We're coming to the end of another amazing hour. Please, you guys, check out Cynthia, an authentic, powerful woman, verified by our tech, a healer, a loving individual, spiritually connected, doing fabulous things on the planet, and going to go on and do many more fabulous things as she continues on her life path and her life journey. So much love to you, Cynthia, and we will definitely be having you back.
Thank you.
All right. So as always, this show, we couldn't do it without the amazing secrettoeverything.com. You can also drop the radio show name in Google. A bunch of shows come up. There's a bunch of archives of other amazing, wonderful, brilliant people. Next week, we're going to have Jason Nelson. He is a psychic, and I think you'll really enjoy hearing from him. We're also going to be talking to Ron Moorhead, and some of you in the cryptozoology community are no stranger to Ron Moorhead. He is the author of Voices in the Wilderness. And I just have to tell you, I'm a cryptozoology freak. I love Bigfoot. I admit it. And you guys know I like to talk about that as well as obviously many other things. But I can't wait to talk to Ron. And we will also have a great conversation with Jason. So you can go to the X Zone, xcbn.net, I believe, and catch all the archives. We're all over YouTube. Like I said, just drop the name of the show, drop the website in, or drop my name in, and you'll get plenty of information about us. Take advantage of our free gift at secrettoeverything.com. We will see you next week. Much love to all of you right here on The Secret to Everything with Dr. Kimberly McGeorge.